Hey, it's Dave here for USB. Thanks for joining us at our first mastermind session. The clear message that came out of it was that as difficult as the situation currently is, it also presents us with an opportunity to strengthen our businesses and ourselves in the face of adversity. From an economic point of view, Ndumiso Khadebe sees it like this.
The impact that in our modeling of this pandemic will lead to a deceleration of the South African economy between 2 and 6%. Now, the great Muhammad Ali, the greatest boxer of all time, as it were, used to deploy a rope-a-dope strategy. Now, what this rope-a-dope strategy essentially entails is that Muhammad Ali would go into the corner of the ring, place himself as if he's tightened and he can't escape from that ring, allow his opponent to throw punches in that ring, which in essence are weak punches and useless punches, because his opponent is essentially punching the line rings or the ring, as it were, and he's tiring his opponent out. But the one thing about Muhammad Ali in this instance, he saw it to be important that even in his training, he builds up the capacity to absorb those punches, to be able to absorb each and every punch that may potentially land. This particular analogy, I think it's important for firms, it's important for governments, it's important for households, even as we budget our domestic household budgets. How do we then put together a budgetary framework in our households? How do we put together a procurement framework in our firms? How do we put together a policy framework as a government that will enable us that in this period and beyond, in a post-COVID-19 pandemic, we build the resilience to absorb punches, so that once our opponent is weak and they've tired themselves out, then we can go in for the kill and get that knockout.
Justin Cohen illustrated that there are in fact two viruses, the one of which has a vaccine available right now.
Let me not mince my words here. Let me get straight to it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our new world. We are in the greatest global disaster since World War II. And years from now, we will look back. And I believe we will look back with a question. And the question will be, did I show up with my best self? The problem is another virus. I know, you thought there was only one. I thought I'd just fill your Friday morning with some joy and tell you that there is another virus. And for some of us, it's a much more serious virus. And I call this the distress over virus. The distress over virus is the distress that we feel about corona. And you don't even have to be in the same room as someone who has it. I mean, you can pick it up from social media, from the news. It can spread as quickly as a thought, and it mutates. It can mutate into fear, anxiety, and for some people into panic. The good news is there is a vaccine for the distress over virus. There are practical ways to build resilience and find calm in the chaos.
Michael Jackson believes that for companies to survive, they need to lead their staff with the right communication.
And this is drawn from a selection of around 10,000 people who literally are in the eventing business, who are clients, who are people like ourselves in our industry. 11% of them in denial right now, haven't got a clue, they say, what the hell I'm going to do. 31% are sitting at home completely fearful. Only 21% are going, all right, I understand this, I'm accepting it, I realize I've got to do something different, but I'm not quite sure what. 27%, 2 out of 3, 2.5 out of 10 people are saying, I'm kind of hopeful that there will be a future. I'm not quite sure what it is yet, still very stormy and cloudy. And only 10% of us are saying we're making progress. What we need to be doing is talking to our people, because they're sitting there between denial, fear, and acceptance on the curve. They're not terribly sure about where to go. And events like this one can be done better than anyone ever imagined. It doesn't take much. It takes leadership through communication.
And finally, Bev Hancock showed that virtual engagement can be as powerful as face-to-face if done correctly.
Is this an interruption or a disruption? An interruption is we're going to make it happen until the end of lockdown and we're going to go back to business as usual. A disruption is that we have the opportunity now to completely reimagine the industry and reimagine the level of engagement that we can have with our audience. Is it possible to have as good or even better engagement experience in the online space than it is face-to-face? Because the assumption has always been that face-to-face is good, virtual is a poor substitute. The process that we've been working on for the conference industry overall has been looking at the communication and engagement process in the events industry, not only on the day, as in how do we use our conference app, but actually the communication process that goes through the whole relationship engagement with the client, both before, during, and after. And the big thing that came up in my research was that the before stage in virtual is exponentially more important.
At USB, we believe this is an opportunity to transform the conferencing industry, to embrace new technologies, and to collaborate with our partners and clients. Join us for more engaging and insightful mastermind sessions. Visit the USB website for more information.